Welcome to the deep dive into atomic habits. If you are reading this, you are likely tired of the typical self-help treadmill. You've set New Year's resolutions that dissolved by February. You've bought the gym memberships that went unused. You've promised yourself to hustle harder, only to burn out and revert to Netflix binges and procrastination. You are not alone. The problem isn't you. The problem is your system. In the fast-paced American landscape, from the boardrooms of Wall Street to the tech incubators of Silicon Valley, we are obsessed with quantum leaps. We love the story of the overnight success, the viral startup, the sudden transformation. But this cultural obsession with massive, immediate action is exactly what holds us back. James Clear's Atomic Habits isn't just a book. It's a manual for deconstructing your psychology and rebuilding it brick by brick. We are going to rewrite the narrative that you need to be motivated to change. You don't need motivation. You need a framework. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Just as money multiplies through compound interest, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. They seem to make little difference on any given day, yet the impact they deliver over the months and years can be enormous. Let's begin by dismantling the myths that have kept you stuck and looking at the mathematics of success. 1. The mathematics of the 1% rule. Why hustle culture fails. In the US, we often glorify the grind. We think change requires massive action. If you want to lose weight, you think you need to run a marathon. If you want to write a book, you think you need to lock yourself in a cabin for a month. But let's look at the math. If you can get just 1% better each day for 1 year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time you're done. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day for 1 year, you'll decline nearly down to 0. 1.01 to the power of 365 equals 37.78. 0.99 to the power of 365 equals 0.03. The aggregation of marginal gains. Consider the story of the British cycling team. For 100 years, they were mediocre. No British cyclist had ever won the Tour de France. In 2003, Sir Dave Brailsford took over and applied a theory called the aggregation of marginal gains. He didn't just train them harder. He looked for 1% improvements everywhere. They redesigned the bike seats to be more comfortable. They rubbed alcohol on the tires for better grip. They hired a surgeon to teach riders how to wash their hands properly to avoid catching a cold. They even tested different types of massage gels to see which led to the fastest muscle recovery. The result? Just 5 years later, the British cycling team dominated the road and track cycling events at the 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing, winning 60% of the gold medals available. The lesson for you: stop looking for the silver bullet solution. Stop trying to overhaul your entire life this weekend. Can you wake up 5 minutes earlier? Can you read 2 pages of a book? Can you do 5 push-ups? These seem insignificant. In the moment, they are. But over a lifetime, they are the difference between a life of regret and a life of mastery. 2. The Plateau of Latent Potential. Why you want to quit. This is where 90% of people fail. You start a new diet. You eat clean for a week. You step on the scale. Nothing has changed. You go to the gym for a month. You look in the mirror. You still don't have abs. You think, I've been working hard, but I'm not seeing results. This is a waste of time. And you quit. This phenomenon is what we call the plateau of latent potential. We expect progress to be linear. We think if we put in 10 units of effort, we should get 10 units of results immediately. But reality doesn't work that way. Reality is often exponential or delayed. The ice cube analogy. Imagine an ice cube sitting on a table in a freezing room. The room is 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Slowly, you begin to heat the room. 26 degrees, nothing happens. 27 degrees, nothing happens. 28 degrees, the ice cube is still sitting there. 29 degrees, still nothing. 30 degrees, no change. 31 degrees, the ice is solid. 32 degrees, the ice begins to melt. A 1-degree shift, seemingly no different from the temperature increases before it, unlocked a huge change. Your earlier efforts were not wasted. They were simply being stored. You were building up the thermal energy needed to trigger the phase change. When you finally break through the plateau of latent potential, people will call you an overnight success. They will say you got lucky. They didn't see the years you spent at 26, 27, and 28. Actionable insight. If you are struggling to build a good habit or break a bad one, it is not because you have lost your ability to improve. It is often because you have not yet crossed the plateau of latent potential. Complaining about not achieving success despite working hard is like complaining about an ice cube not melting when you heated it from 25 to 31 degrees. Your work was not wasted, it is just being stored. 3. Forget goals, focus on systems. This is a controversial take in a goal-obsessed society like America. We are taught to set SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Corporate culture loves KPIs and OKRs. But consider this. Winners and losers have the same goals. Every Olympian wants the gold medal. Every candidate wants the job. Every startup founder wants to IPO. If successful and unsuccessful people share the same goals, then the goal cannot be what differentiates the winners from the losers. It was only when they implemented a system of continuous small improvements that they achieved a different outcome. The problems with goal-centric thinking. Goals are at odds with long-term happiness. The implicit assumption behind any goal is, once I reach my goal, then I'll be happy. You are constantly putting off happiness until the next milestone. It creates a binary conflict. Either you achieve your goal and are successful, or you fail and you are a disappointment. Goals restrict your happiness. Once you achieve the goal, the motivation evaporates. This is the yo-yo effect. You run the marathon, cross the finish line, and then stop running for 6 months because the goal is done. Goals are about the destination. Systems are about the journey. The shift. Goal: lose 20 pounds. System: eating healthy fats and proteins at every meal and walking 20 minutes after dinner. Goal: write a best-selling book. System: writing 500 words every single morning. V. The first law. Make it obvious. Most people think they lack motivation, when what they really lack is clarity. We drift through our days in a cognitive fog. We grab the phone without thinking. We eat the cookie because it's on the counter. We skip the gym because we'll go later, but later never comes. To change a habit, you must first bring it from the subconscious to the conscious. You cannot repair a machine if you don't know how it's broken. 1. The Japanese railway method, point and call. If you ever visit Tokyo and ride the subway, you will notice the conductors doing something strange. They point at different objects and call out their status. When the train approaches a signal, the operator points at it and says, "Signal is green." When the train stops, they point at the speedometer and say, "Speed is 0." This is a safety system known as shisa kanko, pointing and calling. It seems silly to the outside observer, but it reduces errors by up to 85% and cuts accidents by 30%. By physically pointing and speaking, the operator raises the status of the action from a subconscious habit to a conscious awareness. Actionable tactic: the habits scorecard. You need to point and call your own life. Create a list of your daily habits. Walk through your morning and score them. Plus, positive habit: helps you become who you want to be. Minus, negative habit: hinders you. Equal, neutral habit. Wake up. Equal. Check Instagram. Minus. Drink water. Plus. Brush teeth. Equal. Don't judge yourself. Just observe. The first step to changing your bad habits is to be on the lookout for them. You can even say it out loud. I am about to eat this donut, but I don't need it. It will cause me to gain weight and harm my health. Hearing your bad habits spoken aloud makes the consequences feel more real. 2. The implementation intention. In 2001, researchers in Great Britain worked with 248 people to build better exercise habits over 2 weeks. Group 1, control, asked to track exercise. Group 2, motivation, asked to track exercise plus read books on heart health. Group 3, intention, asked to track exercise plus read books plus formulate a specific plan. The plan was simple. During the next week, I will partake in at least 20 minutes of vigorous exercise on day, at time, in place. The results: in groups 1 and 2, only 35 to 38% of people exercised. Motivation didn't work. In group 3, 91% of people exercised. This is the power of an implementation intention. Many people think they lack motivation, but they really lack clarity. I want to work out more is a wish. I will work out at 6 p.m. on Tuesday at Gold's Gym is a plan. The formula: I will behavior at time in location. 3. Habit stacking, the Diderot effect. The French philosopher Denis Diderot once lived in poverty until he acquired a beautiful scarlet robe. Suddenly, he noticed his old rug looked ugly compared to the robe. He bought a new rug. Then his chair looked cheap, so he bought a new chair.
This domino effect of consumption is known as the Diderot effect. We can use this chain reaction for good. This is called habit stacking. Instead of finding a new time and place for a habit, you pair it with a current habit. The formula: after current habit, I will new habit. Meditation: after I pour my coffee each morning, I will meditate for 1 minute. Push-ups: after I close my laptop for the day, I will do 10 push-ups. Finance: after I get into bed, I will check my bank balance. The key is the anchor habit. It must be something you do without fail. This creates a neurological chain reaction where one action automatically triggers the next. 4. Environment design, the invisible hand. In 1971, the U.S. military was facing a crisis. 15% of soldiers in Vietnam were addicted to heroin. The public panicked, expecting a wave of addicts to return home. But when the soldiers returned, something shocking happened. 95% of them stopped using overnight. They didn't need rehab. They didn't need therapy. Why? Because the environment changed. In Vietnam, the cues for heroin were everywhere. Stress, war, fellow soldiers using, easy access. When they came back to the U.S. suburbs, the cues were gone. This challenges the bad apple theory of addiction, that you are weak-willed. It supports the specific environment theory. Discipline is rare. Environment is reliable. The people with the best self-control are typically the ones who need to use it the least. They design their lives so they are not constantly tempted. U.S. market application. If you want to eat healthier, don't rely on willpower to ignore the cookies on the counter. Hide the cookies. Put apples in a bowl on the table. If you want to work, don't rely on focus to ignore your phone. Leave your phone in another room. Be the architect of your world, not the victim of it. V. The second law. Make it attractive. Now that the habit is obvious, we must make it irresistible. This brings us to the biochemistry of desire, dopamine. Dopamine is not just a pleasure chemical, it is a craving chemical. When you gamble, check your phone, or eat sugar, dopamine spikes. Interestingly, dopamine spikes before you take the action, not just after. The anticipation of the reward drives us more than the reward itself. In the modern world, we are surrounded by supernormal stimuli. Junk food is engineered to be more rewarding than natural food. Social media is engineered to be more stimulating than real conversation. Pornography is engineered to be more stimulating than real sex. We are cavemen living in a digital amusement park. To compete with these supernormal stimuli, we need to hack our dopamine loops. 1. Temptation bundling. This strategy was popularized by Ronan Byrne, an electrical engineering student in Dublin. He loved Netflix, but he knew he needed
8. The third law. Make it easy. In the United States, we have a complex relationship with effort. We are raised on the Protestant work ethic. We glorify the struggle. We believe that if something is easy, it must not be worth doing. We think no pain, no gain. But when it comes to habit formation, this mindset is fatal. Biologically, humans follow the law of least effort. We are wired to conserve energy. Given the choice between two similar options, people will naturally gravitate toward the option that requires the least amount of work. We scroll TikTok because it is easier than reading a book. We order Uber Eats because it is easier than cooking. We buy from Amazon because one-click ordering is easier than driving to the store. To master your habits, you must stop fighting human nature and start working with it. You don't need more discipline, you need less friction. 1. The physics of friction. Imagine a garden hose with a kink in it. The water can't flow. You have two options. Crank up the valve to force more water through. Willpower, effort. Unkink the hose. Environment design. Most people try to crank up the valve. They try to power through the resistance. The smart approach is to unkink the hose, to reduce the friction associated with your good habits, and increase the friction associated with your bad ones. Actionable tactic. Prime your environment. Reset your room for future use. Want to draw? Put your pencils and sketchbook open on the desk before you leave the room, so it's the first thing you see when you return. Want to eat healthy? Chop the vegetables on Sunday, so on Wednesday night when you are tired, throwing a salad together is as easy as opening a bag of chips. Want to go to the gym? Lay out your workout clothes, shoes, and water bottle the night before. Inversion. Increase friction for bad habits. Social media addiction. Delete the apps from your phone. If you need to check Facebook, force yourself to log in via the browser on your laptop. That extra 20 seconds of friction is often enough to stop a mindless scroll. Spending money. Unsave your credit card details from Amazon. Force yourself to walk across the room to get your wallet every time you want to buy something. 2. The decisive moment. Every day is made up of a handful of moments that deliver an outsized impact. These are decisive moments. It's 5:30 p.m. You just finished work. You are tired. Option A. You change into pajamas. This leads to 4 hours of TV. Option B. You change into workout shorts. This leads to a 30-minute run. The habit isn't the run or the TV. The habit is the changing of the clothes. That 30-second action determines the next 4 hours. Master the entry point, not the outcome. 3. The 2-minute rule. The biggest barrier to a new habit is the daunting size of it. Read 30 books a year sounds exhausting. Run a marathon sounds painful. So, we use the 2-minute rule. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. Read before bed becomes read 1 page. Do 30 minutes of yoga becomes take out my yoga mat. Study for class becomes open my notes. The critique. But reading 1 page won't get me anywhere. Is this a trick? The response. Yes, it is a trick. But it is a necessary one. You cannot improve a habit that doesn't exist. You must standardize before you optimize. A habit must be established before it can be improved.
If you can't learn the basic skill of showing up, you have no hope of mastering the finer details. Go to the gym and stay for 5 minutes, then leave. Do that for a week. You aren't getting fit, but you are becoming the type of person who goes to the gym. Once the art of showing up is mastered, then and only then do you increase the difficulty. 9. The fourth law. Make it satisfying. The first 3 laws, obvious, attractive, easy, increase the odds that a behavior will be performed this time. The fourth law, satisfying, increases the odds that a behavior will be repeated next time. This brings us to the cardinal rule of behavior change. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. 1. The time inconsistency problem. We live in a delayed return environment. If you save money today, you won't be rich until retirement. Delayed. If you go to the gym today, you won't lose weight until next month. Delayed. If you smoke today, you won't get cancer for 20 years. Delayed. However, our brains evolved in an immediate return environment, the African savanna. If you eat food, hunger vanishes instantly, immediate. If you run from a lion, you survive instantly, immediate. This creates a conflict. Bad habits usually feel good now, but bad later. Good habits usually feel bad now, but good later. The cost of your good habits is in the present. The cost of your bad habits is in the future. To stick with a good habit, you must add a little bit of immediate pleasure to the mix. Actionable tactic, visual reinforcement. We need to see progress. In a digital world, progress is often invisible. The paperclip strategy. A stockbroker famously moved 120 paperclips from one jar to another every day, one for each sales call. He didn't stop until the first jar was empty. The visual and tactile satisfaction of moving the clip provided the immediate reward his brain needed. The savings account. If you are saving for a trip to Europe, open a savings account named Trip to Europe. Every time you skip a Starbucks run, transfer that $5 to the account immediately. Seeing the number go up gives you a hit of satisfaction. 2. The Seinfeld strategy. Don't break the chain. Jerry Seinfeld, one of the most successful comedians in American history, was asked how he writes such good jokes. He said his goal was simply to never break the chain. He has a huge wall calendar. Every day he writes a joke. He puts a big red X on that day. After a few days, you'll have a chain.
X. The downside of good habits. We have spent this entire series convincing you of the power of habits. But in the spirit of intellectual honesty, we must discuss the danger. Habits create automation. Automation frees up mental space. This is good for beginners. However, automation is the enemy of mastery. When you first learn to drive a car, you are hyper-aware. You focus on the pedals, the mirrors, the blinker. Eventually, it becomes a habit. You can drive home while thinking about dinner. You are on autopilot. But because you are on autopilot, you stop improving. You become a good enough driver. But you will never become a Formula One driver by simply commuting to work every day. This is the okay plateau. Once a habit is formed, we stop paying attention to the feedback.
We assume we are getting better because we are gaining experience. In reality, we are often just reinforcing our current errors. The formula for mastery: habits plus deliberate practice equals mastery. To achieve greatness, whether in business, sports, or art, you cannot just rinse and repeat. You must build the habit to establish a baseline, and then deliberately challenge that habit to break through to the next level. 1. The review and refine system. Successful corporations like Google and Amazon have quarterly business reviews. The U.S. military uses after-action reviews, AARs, after every mission. You need a similar system for your life. James Clear suggests 2 personal audits. The annual review, December. What went well this year? What didn't go well? What did I learn? The integrity report, July. What are the core values that drive my life and work? How am I living and working with integrity right now? How can I set a higher standard for the future? Without reflection, habits turn into ruts. Reflection ensures you are climbing the right mountain, not just climbing fast. 11. The secret to greatness: loving the boredom. We are sold a lie by Hollywood movies. We think success is a montage of high-energy training sequences set to fast music. We think passion is a fire that burns white-hot every day. But if you talk to the top 1% of performers, Olympic athletes, best-selling authors, Fortune 500 CEOs, they will tell you a different story. The biggest threat to success is not failure, it is boredom. We get bored with habits because they stop delighting us. The outcome becomes expected. And as our habits become ordinary, we start derailing our progress to seek novelty. The entrepreneur gets bored with their core product and starts a distracting side project. The weightlifter gets bored with squats and tries a fancy new machine that is less effective. The difference between professionals and amateurs. Amateurs wait for inspiration. They work when they feel like it. They let life get in the way. Professionals stick to the schedule. They step up to the plate even when they are annoyed, tired, or bored. Stepping up when it's annoying, painful, or draining to do so is what makes the difference between a professional and an amateur. Anyone can work hard when they feel motivated. It's the ability to keep going when work isn't exciting that makes the difference. If you want to be great, you must fall in love with the boredom of doing the work. 12. Keep your identity small. In Part 1, we talked about building an identity. I am a runner. But there is a trap here. If you tie your identity too closely to one specific role, you become fragile. If your identity is, I am the CEO, and you lose your company, you lose yourself. If your identity is, I am a soldier, and you get injured, you lose your purpose. The tighter we cling to an identity, the harder it is to grow beyond it. As you master your habits, you must ensure your identity remains flexible. Redefine yourself by your characteristics, not your titles. Instead of, I am the CEO, try, I am the type of person who builds things and solves problems. This applies whether you run a company or not. Instead of, I am an athlete, try, I am the type of person who is mentally tough and loves a physical challenge. Be like water, adaptable. When the world changes, and it will, your habits must change with it. 13. Conclusion: the compound effect of humanity. We began this journey looking for a transformation.
We end it realizing that transformation is not an event, but a process. Atomic Habits is not really about losing weight or making money. It is about believing in your capacity to change. There is no finish line. There is no permanent solution. You don't fix your life and then stop. The goal is not to reach the top of the mountain. The goal is to become the type of person who loves the climb. Success is not a goal to reach or a finish line to cross. It is a system to improve, an endless process to refine. Your final checklist. Don't try to be perfect. Start with the 2-minute rule. Just show up. Don't rely on willpower. Design your environment. Law 1. So the good choice is the easy choice. Don't focus on goals. Focus on your system and your identity. Don't break the chain. Use a tracker. Never miss twice. Don't fear boredom. Embrace it. That is where the mastery lies. Tiny changes, remarkable results. It starts with 1 push-up, 1 page, 1 sentence, 1 sales call. Go be 1% better today.